Hello there, and welcome to the Medicare Made Easy video library. The focus of this lesson will be to take a closer look at Medicare Part D prescription drug plans. These plans are optional, but considering the potentially high cost of many medications, adding drug coverage is an important way to make sure you have comprehensive health care during your retirement years. This will be true even if you do not currently take prescription drugs. If you go too long without drug coverage, you'll likely pay a late enrollment penalty if you later decide to join a plan when you do need to start taking prescription drugs. This penalty will be added to your monthly premium, and generally, it must be paid each month for as long as you have a drug plan. If you decide to join a Medicare Advantage plan, most will have drug coverage already embedded into their plan. You can learn more about Medicare Advantage plans by watching the video in this library devoted to that topic. If you instead decide to stick with original Medicare and want drug coverage, you'll need to purchase a standalone Medicare prescription drug plan, unless you already have, and want to keep, some other form of drug coverage. This might be the case for those with drug coverage from their union, an employer, or TRICARE for those retired from the military. It will be very important to be certain that Medicare considers any drug coverage that you may already have as meeting their criteria of being considered creditable coverage. Drug plan providers typically have large networks of pharmacies that often include one or more of the major chains that you may already be familiar with. Plans often take their large network and break it up into categories of preferred pharmacies and standard pharmacies. Typically, any out-of-pocket expenses will be less when you use the plan's preferred pharmacies. Most plans will also give you the option to have your prescriptions filled by a mail order. Using such a service may be another way to lower any out-of-pocket expense associated with your prescription medications. Every drug plan has something that is referred to as that plan's formulary. A formulary is simply a list of all the medications covered by that plan. Every medication that is in a plan's formulary will be assigned to one of 5 tiers. These tiers indicate the level of cost sharing for a covered drug. The Tier 1 drugs are a category referred to as low-cost preferred generic drugs. Typically, if all of your medications are in this tier, you generally won't be spending as much to get your prescriptions filled. Tier 2 includes preferred generic drugs. The cost of medications in this tier will typically be higher than the cost of Tier 1 drugs. Tier 3 are referred to as preferred brand. Tier 4 contain the non-preferred brand drugs. And in Tier 5, you will find specialty drugs that are the very high-cost brand and generic medications. The higher the tier your medications are assigned to, the higher your share of the cost for getting your prescriptions filled. Even more important than your out-of-pocket expense is to be sure that any plan you are considering has the medications you take in their formulary. The official U.S. government Medicare website has a great tool called the Medicare Plan Finder that allows you to easily find out what your overall prescription drug cost will be based on the specific drugs that you take. All you do is enter your zip code and details about your medications to see a listing of all of the available drug plans in your area, along with their premiums, any deductibles, and copays. More importantly, you will see an estimate of your total annual out-of-pocket expense for every plan available. It can be a mistake to shop for a plan solely on the basis of the amount of the monthly premium. In addition to premiums, you need to consider any deductible or copays that you must also pay out of your own pocket each time you get your prescriptions filled. Your best value will likely be the plan with the lowest estimated total annual cost, as opposed to just the one with the lowest premium. The premiums for all plans will be based on where in the country you live and other factors as well. One person might pay a monthly premium of $20 or less, while another could easily pay well over $100 for their plan. The national average monthly premium for Part D is about $34. As is the case with Medicare Part B premiums, those with greater incomes will pay higher premiums for their Medicare Part D drug coverage. One aspect of most Part D prescription drug plans that is often an unpleasant surprise is something called the coverage gap, also referred to as the donut hole. To better understand the coverage gap, think of the bottom section of this donut as representing your share of your prescription drug costs as you start out each year. Generally speaking, your drug plan should pay a relatively larger portion of your annual costs, as long as you remain in this lower section. However, once the total amount of what both you and your plan have paid in any year hits a certain limit, you enter the coverage gap. This gap is likened to the hole in the donut, because while you are in the coverage gap, you will be responsible for a much greater portion of the cost of your medications. You stay in the coverage gap until either the start of a new year or the total of your covered drug expenses, not including your plan premiums, reaches the maximum coverage gap limit. If you reach this maximum, you then move into the top section of the donut, where you will have what is referred to as catastrophic coverage. While you are in this upper section, your drug cost will be relatively small, and you will stay here until the start of the next year when everything resets. January 1st, you automatically move down to this lower section. Many people have a prescription drug cost that is low enough so that they never reach the coverage gap. There are other factors to consider regarding prescription drug plans. Will the plan impose limits on how much medication you can get at a time? Will you be required to get prior authorization before expensive prescriptions are filled? And will step therapy be imposed? Step therapy is a requirement that you first try less expensive alternative medications before you are authorized to get a prescription filled for a more expensive drug that perhaps you and your doctor may already know works best in your situation. That's it for this overview of Medicare Part D drug plans. Check out the other video lessons in this library dealing with Medicare Parts A and B, Medigap plans, Part C Advantage plans, Part D drug plans, and an entire range of subjects designed to help you achieve the retirement with dignity and peace of mind you deserve. Thanks for watching. See you in another lesson.